Please look at the NetBeans project Double with Nodes example. And first we'll look at a node. Here is our node class. You'll notice that the item is an object, so any object can go in here. And then 2 pointers, one to next and one to previous. I say pointers, these are addresses. They are of type node, but we think of them as pointers, those little arrows that we draw in our diagrams. Our constructor, the constructor that we'll be using in this program, takes an item, it puts it as the value of item, and it sets the pointers to null. It sets previous and next to null. Let's look at our program. The program first sets head and tail to null. It asks the user for feet and inches separated by a space and 00 to quit. It gets this information from the keyboard, and as long as feet is not 0 and inches is not 0, then we will go into this loop, and then the first thing that we do is make an object, a feet and inches object called measurement. So that contains the feet and inches that we just input, and then we put this measurement into a new node pointed to by temp. So let me grab my whiteboard here. And what we see is initially head and tail are null, and temp is going to point to this new node. I'm going to start it out over here, and we've got a new node which has our information in, whatever that is. Let's say it was 3'6". Not sure that I can write too well with my mouse, but 3'6", say, and 2 null pointers, because that's how the constructor works. So after line 26, this is what we have. And then we say if head is null. Well, it is. So if head is null, head equals temp. Head points to where temp is pointing, or if you want it officially, the address contained in head is now the address that is held by temp, and that address is where this node lives. So practically, when we draw it, that's what it looks like. Head points to temp. And the same with tail. So tail is now also going to point to temp. I don't do the else. I'm at the bottom of my loop where I get 2 more numbers from the keyboard. I go up to the top of my loop. I'm on line 24. Make sure that they are not 0. Make myself a new feet and inches object, and now temp is now going to point to that a node containing that object. So I would have a new node, because it's a new node, previous and next are null. I've got some sort of information in here, whatever that is, and temp is now going to point to it. So temp is now going to point here and no longer points there. So I've just finished line 26. If head equals null, it isn't. Head is not null. Head has an address, the address of this node. So I'm at the else. Tail.next equals temp. Tail.next is here. So it's no longer empty or null. It now points to the node that temp is pointing to. Tail.next equals temp. And now temp.prev equals tail. Temp's previous pointer is this one. So it's no longer null. Oops. But it now points to tail. That was line 33. And on line 34, tail equals temp. So tail now points to where temp is pointing and no longer points here. So this is my situation. I've got head pointing to the first one. I've got tail pointing to the last one. The first node points to the second points back to the first. And now I'm at the bottom of my loop. I get another feet and inches values from the keyboard. I go up to the top, I verify they're not 0, and I make myself a new feet and inches object, which I then put into a node. So I've got some data in here, and that node is pointed to by temp. And this is what happens on line 26. Line 27, if head is null, which it isn't. So I go to the else on line 31. Tail.next equals temp. Tail.next is this guy here. So no longer null, but points to temp. And that is line 32. Line 33, temp.prev equals tail. Temp's previous, which is in here. So whatever we have in here now points to tail. And that was line 33, temp.prev equals tail. And line 34, tail equals temp. So tail now moves on and now points to wherever temp is pointing. So again, head points to the first one, tail points to the last one, and we can get from one node to the other in each direction. I'm at the bottom of the loop. I get some input from the keyboard. Let's imagine it's a 0, 0. I go up to the while on on line 24, and I'm out of my loop. And I have created a list, a doubly linked list.